Speaking
All right,
of
where am
nonsense,
I
let's
going
get back to our facts.
Is it me? It's me,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
you, yeah.
Ooh. My one goes back. Ah, yes, it goes back to the music. Yes. I want to know John Lennon, Yoko Ono, famous
Okay.
couple. Very, very
Yeah,
intriguing
she's a
story.
musician. I don't know who he is, but she was a musician.
Yeah, her vocalizations, her primal vocalizations.
Right.
That's where it's at. That's what the Beatles were missing.
That was the jam.
Yeah. So he had a thing called the Lost Weekend, and my fact is that it refers to a weekend that he really can't remember, but he ended up being in Rio de Janeiro, lots of drugs, didn't know how he got there, had a wild time. Maybe it was with David Bowie, I'm not sure. There was Harry Nilsson. So there was this weekend we ended up in Rio de Janeiro, ended up being actually a week, because it was supposed to be a weekend, but Rio de Janeiro, party, drugs, and then got back, but he knows nothing about it. But there's photos of him with his friends in Rio de Janeiro, and he calls that the Lost Weekend. It was during his relationship with his marriage to Yoko Ono, a bit of a turbulent time. And there's this famous weekend called the Lost Weekend, Rio,
So
big fat
you're
party.
saying, is this true?
Yeah.
So now I believe that this sort of thing can happen.
Yeah.
Because I know of a writer for comedy shows up in Johannesburg. He used to be a comedian beforehand who he went on a drug binge once where he...
I met the lad,
where he started drinking and drugging on a Friday or something, and then he came to on the Sunday afternoon. He booked himself into a boutique hotel in like Hounton, and
that's a nice place to come around.
Yeah, and if he sends us 10,000 rand in unmarked bills,
yes.
in a brown envelope, direct
please.
to this podcast at Old Mountain Studios,
Yeah.
we won't have to reveal that his name is Christopher Stain.
Yeah, you bring us that cash in the envelope, we'll treat you to lunch at Woodstock Brewery where we had our last little get together.
Yeah. We won't say another thing about it, Chris.
So he did a bit of that. Shame. So
so I believe it's possible. I believe it's a thing that can happen. I mean, you're saying it happened while he was married to Yoko Ono. I think that could be believable. It can't all be peace and love, right?
All we're saying is give peace a chance.
Yeah, he gave a piece of this and a piece of that, some of that as well. Yeah, I think it's true. I think he had a lost weekend. I don't know whether it was while he was with Yoko, but I know he had a lost weekend.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, the old devil is in the...
It's in the details.
Yeah, and I'm being dickish about the details again. And so, well, I think the biggest thing is why it's a legitimately false fact is that it wasn't a weekend, it was a year and a half. It was a year. So he called it the lost weekend, but it was a year and a half. Between 12 and 18 months. So they were on a break from their marriage, and she allowed him to have an affair with his assistant, who was also very beautiful.
Paul McCartney.
She was a very beautiful Asian young lady, very pretty, and she had an apartment in New York, but they were in Los Angeles a lot, and he was big into the booze and drugs as well, but also being fantastically creative, and he released 3 albums in that time.
In that year and a half.
Yeah.
How does he call it? The lost weekend?
Exactly.
Imagine waking up. You go to sleep, you wake up, it's a year and a half later, but you've released 3 albums and they've gone big hit around the world. You've got loads more money. Would you do that? Would you trade in a year and a half of your life for 3 music albums that give you some sort of like...
And you with a very beautiful girl that your wife said, by all means, go for it. Crazy. Maybe she's not such a bad person. If you don't remember,
what difference does it make who you were with?
Yeah. Yes. But there's a lovely story from that.
Do you think that she was perhaps ratatouilleing him? Like she controlled him for that year and a half. Make 3 albums. That's why he doesn't remember.
Is that a common phrase, or is it a common phrase from tonight?
It's a common phrase
There's
from
two
tonight.
phrases.
Now.
This guy's a genius.
Yeah.
We've got Romeoing. All right, don't Romeo yourself for another girl, okay?
No, for any
Don't
girl.
don't Romeo yourself for any girl, and don't let another girl ratatouille you.
Yeah. Don't let any girl ratatouille you. Because maybe she did. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's why he can't remember a thing. But he's got 3 albums. Maybe it was Yoko Ono that ratatouille'd him. Maybe he's got 3 albums of him just going, ah, into a variety of mics.
She ratatouille'd him.
Yeah.
Maybe. She had that sort of weird hold on him. But there's a beautiful story that I like from that era. One of the albums he was finishing, he thought it needed some harmonizing, bit of funky piano. Elton John was in town, who was becoming a massive star in America in the 70s. And he said, please pop in and help me finish the song. And Elton did a wonderful thing. And he never sang live after he was away from the Beatles. He never performed live anymore. John Lennon. And Elton John said, if we finish, this is a great little song. He's like, yeah, it's okay. Elton John said, no, this is a good song. If it goes to number 1, will you come perform with me at Madison Square Garden? He's like, sure, I will. But he had no
intention, yeah. In fact, it was one of the things that was the end of the Beatles as well. He didn't want to perform any more live shows with the Beatles either.
Yeah.
And they didn't perform for like a year, and then they did the
rooftop thing.
Yeah, and then that was like, but they hadn't performed for like a year or something, or 2 years before.
Yeah,
then.
funny. So the to tempt fate like that, the song did go to number 1, and so he joined Elton John on stage, 1974-ish. He never really performed live much after that. I know there's him singing "All We Were Saying Is Give Peace a Chance," and but he didn't really do a concert after that. There was more of a peace rally, I think. But he comes onto stage at a Elton John concert, and they perform 3 songs together. The number 1 hit, then they sang I Saw Her Standing There, which is a great Beatles classic, and they sang Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which Elton John did as a lovely cover, has released it. But their opening song was Whatever Gets You Through the Night. It went to number 1. It's a lovely little jam. Do you know it?
No.
It starts like it. Whatever gets you through the night, baby, it's all right. Baby, it's all right. It's like it's got some sort of American. What would that genre even be? It's sort of it's like deep sort of country vibes. It's country mixed with gospel. It's that sound. Okay. Lovely. Whatever gets you through the night. And rocky. Piano. Elton John going mad. Yeah. Whatever gets you through the night. Baby, it's all right.
Oh, there you go. There you go.